I stepped out into the marble hallway of Vargas Enterprises, my heels clicking against the polished floors, announcing my presence to anyone listening. My resume was in my bag, though I knew I wouldn't need it. I spoke 4 languages. I'd worked with politicians and handled men who thought intimidation was power. But today I was interviewing for a man no one dared to even touch. Luca Vargas. The ghost behind New York's underworld. Rich. Ruthless. Untouchable. Rumor said he hated physical contact. No handshakes, no hugs, no one close enough to breathe his air. He ran his empire with cold precision and zero mercy. But the job? It paid more than anything I had ever imagined. "You've got this, Maya," I whispered to myself as I rounded the corner. "Just don't trip. Don't talk too much. And definitely, don't touch him." Fate, of course, had other plans. Someone turned the same way I did. Too fast. My heels snagged the edge of the carpet. My bag slipped. Papers flew. Ah. I stumbled straight into a wall of muscle. My hand landed on a solid chest, warm, strong, alive. My eyes shot up and froze. He was tall, sharp-jawed, every inch the man I had only ever seen in whispered stories and terrified glances. Every guard in the hallway stiffened, hands twitching toward their guns. My stomach dropped. I didn't need an introduction. Everyone in New York knew that face. Luca Vargas. And I had just laid my hand on his chest. He stared down at me, eyes cold, unreadable, voice low and lethal. "Who are you?" I swallowed hard. I'm here for the translator position, sir." His gaze flicked to my trembling hand, then back to my face. "You touch me and expect a job?" Fear spiked through me, but so did pride. I tilted my chin. "What if I'm the best one you'll ever meet?" A dangerous silence filled the hall. For a second, curiosity flickered behind his icy stare. Then he turned away. "We'll see about that." Hours passed. 50 candidates. 50 voices. 50 disappointments. Me. I spoke with fire, switching flawlessly between English, Italian, French, and Spanish. Even his guards looked impressed. When I finished, I glanced at Luca. "Told you, sir. Nobody does it better than me." He didn't respond. My hand against his chest replayed in my mind. He should reject me. He wanted to. But he couldn't. "You're hired. But listen carefully." His voice sliced the air. He stepped closer, eyes like blades. "If you ever touch me again, even by accident, you're done." My heart hammered, but my lips curved. "Understood, boss." He dismissed me with a flick of his hand. "Start Monday." I exhaled slowly. My body trembled, but my smile was unstoppable. I had just landed the most dangerous job in New York, working for the man no one dared to touch. The black car stopped in front of the Vargas Syndicate headquarters, a glass tower that loomed over Manhattan like a warning. I stepped out, adjusting my blazer with trembling hands. The interview, the cold stare, the accidental brush of our hands. I couldn't get it out of my head. The glass doors slid open. Silence swallowed me. Every man in a black suit carried both a gun and a secret. Their eyes followed my heels as they clicked across the marble floors. At the top of the grand staircase, there he was. Luca Vargas. Immaculate black suit, cold perfection. Eyes like winter steel. My breath caught, but I forced myself not to look away. "Bring her in," he said, low and commanding. I expected an office. Instead, I was led into a sprawling boardroom. 2 foreign businessmen sat waiting. One Italian, one French. Lucas sat at the head of the table, a glass of untouched whiskey before him. "You're early," he said. "Good. Let's see if you're worth the trouble." "Excuse me?" I asked. "Translate for them," he said. "Every word. No mistakes." The Italian man began, arrogance dripping from his words. But as I listened, I froze. He wasn't just talking business, he was twisting numbers, padding shipments. I looked at Luca. He was watching me like a hawk. Was this a test? I took a breath and spoke clearly. "He says the shipment holds 30 crates, but he's lying. He's trying to pass them off as 50. The room went still. The Italian stiffened. "What did you just say?" Maybe I'd just gotten myself killed. But Luca's lips curved. Something sharp, not quite a smile. You dare lie to me in my house? Within seconds his men grabbed the Italian, dragging him out screaming. My stomach twisted but I stood my ground. When the door closed, Luca looked at me. Good job, he said flatly. I was hired to translate the truth, I replied, voice steady but shaken. And that was the truth. His gaze lingered before he looked away. Get used to truth, Miss Bennett. In this world, it's more dangerous than lies. The deal had been sealed hours ago, tucked away in a sleek, smoke-hazed bar in Little Italy. I'd worked flawlessly, my translations flowing in Italian, French, and Mandarin, smooth as velvet, sharp as glass. The investors were impressed. Contracts signed. Hands shaken. Power exchanged. As glasses clinked and laughter rippled across the private booth, one of Luca Vargas' associates, a broad man with a voice like gravel, slapped the table. Tonight we celebrate. No excuses. Everyone stays. Luca's jaw ticked. He wasn't the type to linger after business. But refusing could bruise an ego that wasn't worth the trouble. I shrugged internally. One night couldn't kill him. Right? By nightfall, the bar had transformed into sin itself. Velvet lights bathed the room in shades of red and gold, smoke curling lazily in the air. Jazz melted into low bass, and the mingling scents of champagne and perfume twisted together like temptation. Luca sat in his private corner, the air around him heavy with command. Women drifted close, painted lips, glinting jewelry, voices dripping honey, but he brushed them off with a single look. To him they were all noise. Then I saw him watching me. I slipped upstairs, letting the tension of the day dissolve into my veins along with the wine. My little black dress shimmered under the lights, hugging my curves. My laughter was unguarded, free. I wasn't performing. I wasn't begging to be seen. It was. Hips swaying to the rhythm, I let the music take over. Men came up, 1, 2, 3, but I waved them off with a teasing grin. No thank you. I dance better alone, I laughed. There was something magnetic about letting myself be unchained. Dangerous. I didn't mean to notice him at first. Luca Vargas wasn't supposed to look at me like that. But his eyes found me, sharp, cold, piercing, and heat stirred in a place I didn't think anyone could touch. I told myself it was irritation, that he was judging me. But when our eyes met, I smiled. I lifted my glass in a playful toast. Hope you're enjoying yourself, boss. For a heartbeat, it was just the two of us, worlds apart but dangerously close. Then he looked away first. The night grew wilder. My laughter carried above the music, my steps unsteady, my cheeks flushed. Too much wine. Too little caution. One man stepped close, eyes dark. Dance with me, sweetheart. I blinked. No thank you. He grabbed my wrist. Reflexively, my heel connected sharply with his groin. He collapsed with a pained grunt. The crowd laughed, until another bigger man grabbed me from behind. Stop fighting, baby, he hissed, pressing me close. I twisted and slapped him hard. He raised his hand to strike back. And froze. Luca Vargas had arrived. His hand gripped the man's wrist like iron. One brutal fist later, he sent him crashing into a table. The room went silent. No words were needed. His eyes alone promised death. His men appeared from nowhere, dragging the offender out. I swayed, blinking up at him through blurred vision. Thank you, boss, I murmured. Are you drunk? His voice was low, dangerous. I giggled, leaning closer. Maybe. My knees gave out. He caught me before I hit the floor, his arm locking around my waist. Behave yourself, he warned. Unless you're begging to get fired. I giggled again, breath sweet with wine. You wouldn't dare. You need me too much. The words slipped past before he could push them away. Where's her room? He barked at a man near him. Sir, she doesn't have one. Hotel's full. His jaw flexed. Then she's staying in mine. His penthouse suite was quiet, overlooking the city that never slept. He laid me gently on his bed, my hair spilling like ink across the white sheets. He turned to leave until my fingers brushed his wrist. Don't leave me, I whispered, voice trembling and drunk. His heart stuttered. He told himself to walk away. But something in my voice, soft, scared, pulled him back. He sat beside me in silence. My eyes half-lidded, I murmured. You're not that scary, Luca Vargas. Cold, yes, but scary? Not to me. I leaned forward, too close. My lips brushed his, light as a sigh. By the time he blinked, I had already fallen asleep against him, my breathing soft and steady. He didn't move. Didn't speak. For the first time in years, the man who trusted no one sat in silence. His heart caught between danger and desire. I groaned, blinking against the harsh morning light, and instantly realized something was wrong. This wasn't my bed. The sheets were too smooth, the air too cold, the room too quiet. I pushed myself up slowly. My dress was wrinkled, my hair a disaster, my memories a chaotic blur. Music, dancing, wine, kicks, slaps. And then, the kiss. Oh God, I whispered, covering my face. Please tell me I didn't make a complete fool of myself. Silence. Then a voice, low, cold, and impossible to ignore, sliced through the room. Get up. I know you're awake. My blood turned to ice. I peeked between my fingers. Luca Vargas stood at the window, arms folded, a storm of disapproval carved into his perfect features. I scrambled upright, my cheeks burning. Boss, I can explain. His jaw ticked. After your reckless drinking and foolish behavior last night, you're fired. The word crashed into me harder than the headache. My stomach dropped. No, please. Sir, I swear it won't happen again. I'll be professional, This is not a playground. His voice was a blade. Learn the line between work and pleasure. Tears stung my eyes. I took a shaky step forward. Please, Luca. This job means everything to me. Please, just give me another chance. He didn't even look softened. He never did. He walked out, the door clicking shut with the finality of a judge's gavel. I sank onto the bed, numb. What do I tell Mom? What do I even? The rest died in my throat. I packed slowly, mechanically. The city outside went on, loud and indifferent. I was fired. Just like that. Meanwhile, what I didn't know. Downstairs, Luca sat with his lieutenants. The morning meeting with a French syndicate loomed. A crucial deal. Boss, we don't have a translator, one of the men said. Nobody else can do French like her. I wasn't there, but I could imagine his face. Flat, annoyed, proud. She's reckless, he snapped. I don't want her near me. But she's the best we've got. And pride only went so far. Even for a Vargas. Back to me. I dragged my suitcase across the lobby, head pounding, heart sinking. Two men in dark suits stepped in front of me. Ms. Bennett? The French delegation is requesting your presence. They say only you can translate the meeting. My knees almost buckled. Me. Before I could gather a coherent thought, he appeared. Luca Vargas. Of course. His gaze locked onto mine. The whole lobby went silent. You're coming with me, he said. Yow. I blinked. But, you fired me. His expression didn't waver. This isn't about what I want. It's about what I need. My heart thudded unevenly. Need. Right. I swallowed and followed. The meeting. The Frenchmen were tense, sharp-tongued, impossible to please. But language was where I thrived. I moved through sentences with precision, weaving nuance and tone like silk. I watched Luca out of the corner of my eye, silent, unreadable, listening to every word. When the contracts were signed, smiles forced, ink drying, I exhaled shakily. I had saved the day. Back at the penthouse. I stood stiffly with my suitcase while Luca flipped through files, pretending I didn't exist. Finally, without looking up, he said, "You were useful today." Relief shoved air back into my lungs. So, I still have my job? I asked, guilty but hopeful. He turned then, dark eyes sharp as knives. One more mistake, Maya. One more night like that. And I'm gone, I whispered. He didn't nod. Didn't deny it. We'll see. That "we'll see" felt like a second chance wrapped in barbed wire. What I didn't know, again. Later that night, while I sat in the back of a car heading home, Luca was in his penthouse office. Contracts open, mind closed. Or so he tried. Because every time he looked at the papers, he saw me. My laugh. My voice. The way I'd brushed past him while handing over a file. She means nothing, he told himself. She's just an employee. So why did it feel like she meant too much? The next morning, I walked into Vargas Tower wearing professionalism like armor. "Morning, Mr. Vargas," I said, placing files on his desk. He studied me slowly, tension thickening between us. "Maya," he said finally. "Come here." I froze, then stepped forward. He lifted a hand, almost absent-mindedly, his fingertips grazing my cheek before hovering near my lips. My heart stopped. "Boss?" For that tiny second he wasn't the coldest man in New York. He was just a man, trying to understand something he didn't like. "Are you okay, sir?" I whispered. The moment shattered. He dropped his hand, retreating into ice. "Forget it." My phone buzzed. Once. Twice. He didn't look at me when he said, "Why aren't you answering it?" I hesitated. "It's my boyfriend. I'll call him back." Silence. "You never mentioned you had a boyfriend," he said. "I didn't think it was necessary to mention that," I replied softly. His jaw tightened. That evening, from his office window, he watched me walk out of the building. A sleek black car pulled up. My boyfriend stepped out, smiling, relaxed, kissing my cheek as he opened the door for me. Luca's hand clenched into a fist. He turned away sharply. "Jealousy," a word that had no place in his world. He punched his gym's heavy bag until sweat dripped down his temples. Every hit landed with anger, and something else. Frustration. Confusion. "What?" "No more," he growled. "No more weakness." But I knew even then. I had already slipped past his walls. And that terrified him more than anything else. The marble lobby of the New York headquarters buzzed with a rhythm I could never get used to, phones glued to ears, orders slicing through the air, suits moving like shadows. At the center of it all was Luca Vargas. Precise. Untouchable. His tailored black suit hugged him like armor, his icy stare enough to silence a room. People straightened, bowed, or shifted aside when he passed. Everyone but me. I walked beside him with my notebook in hand, taking notes, translating conversations, keeping pace like it was second nature. "Keep up," he said without looking at me, tone clipped. "I am keeping up," I replied smoothly, just enough sarcasm to draw glances. Then I added with a teasing smirk, "It's not my fault you've got, for different moods before lunch. Cold, colder, and ice age." The hallway went still. No one dared speak like that. Lucas stopped. Slowly turned. Eyes narrowing. "What did you just say?" My heart skipped a beat, but I held his stare. "Nothing, sir." Then quietly, "Multiple moods. Should really get that checked out." A muscle twitched in his jaw. Instead of snapping, he turned away. "Get me the contracts for Costa Imports," he said coldly. But I knew my words lingered in his mind. An hour later, I stood at his desk reading aloud a translated document. Article 4. Late delivery means a 20% penalty. Article 5. The supplier is fully liable if goods go missing. I glanced up, smirking. "So basically, you don't trust anyone." His eyes lifted, dark and unblinking. "Read it properly." I teased. "You just don't like hearing the truth." He rose from his chair, deliberate, commanding. I instinctively stepped back until my hips hit the edge of his desk. He leaned in, hand braced beside me, voice low. "You talk too much. And you glare too much," I shot back, breathless, unflinching. Our eyes locked, fire meeting ice. Then his gaze dropped to my lips, and in a heartbeat, everything snapped. He kissed me. It wasn't gentle. Rough. Consuming. Walls crumbled. Consequences ignored. I gasped, my notebook clattering to the floor. Smoke, mint, danger, he tasted like every warning I'd ignored. For a heartbeat I melted. Then reality hit. I shoved him back, eyes wide. "What the hell was that?" My voice trembled. "I have a boyfriend, Mr. Vargas." His stare didn't waver. "Didn't stop you from kissing me first." "What?" I whispered, stunned. "The night you were drunk," he growled, dangerous, low. "You kissed me." My lips parted in disbelief. I don't remember that. I'm sorry. Please, just don't do that again." I grabbed my things, hands shaking, and bolted. The door slammed behind me. He stood there, lips tingling, chest tight. This wasn't the plan, he muttered to himself. The plan was to stay away from her. But his gaze caught the notebook I'd left behind, the faint scent of my perfume lingering. And for the first time in years, Luca Vargas admitted something to himself. With her, it's different. That night across town, I lay beside my boyfriend Ethan. His arm draped lazily around me, fingers tracing slow circles on my skin. Should have felt safe, comfortable. But when I closed my eyes, all I saw was Luca. I felt his lips. No one had ever kissed me like that. Not Ethan. Not anyone. And it scared me how much it lingered. Ethan, I whispered, quiet, trembling. He pressed a kiss to my neck. Not now, he murmured, hand sliding to my waist. Babe, I said softly, I'm not in the mood. He ignored me, pressing harder. Panic ignited in my chest. Ethan, stop. I shoved, kicking, breaking free. My blouse tore. Tears streaked my face. I ran barefoot through the streets, heart pounding, adrenaline carrying me. By the time I reached my apartment, I collapsed on the couch, shaking. I grabbed my phone, fingers trembling, and typed, Maya, we're done. Don't call me. Don't text me. If you ever show up again, I'll call the cops. Then walked. Silence. Then came the anger. Deep, burning, alive. How could anyone betray me like that? But beneath it all, a name crept in. One I didn't expect. Luca Vargas. His kiss. His touch. His protectiveness hidden under arrogance. And for reasons I couldn't explain, he was the only person who made me feel safe again. I leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling, tears finally falling. Everything had changed in one night. And deep down I knew, this was only the beginning. Morning hit like a punch I wasn't ready for. I walked into Vargas Enterprises with my notebook in hand, but my usual rhythm was gone. The sharp click of my heels on the marble felt hollow, almost too loud. My eyes were tired. My smile forced. The weight of last night pressed down on me like a ghost I couldn't shake. I sat at my desk outside Luca's office, hiding behind my laptop screen. Typing. Deleting. Pretending. But my fingers trembled with every keystroke. Of course he noticed. He always noticed. Through the haze of meetings and papers, I could feel his eyes on me. Something in me had shifted. My spark, my defiance, my energy, they were all muted. I tried to act normal, but I could feel him analyzing me. It bothered him more than he wanted to admit. Then he stepped out. The air shifted. Everything fell into silence. He moved with that silent authority that drew every eye and swallowed all the air. He stopped right in front of my desk, voice low, sharp. You're late. My head snapped up. It won't happen again, I whispered. No sarcasm. No sass. Just quiet compliance. That wasn't me. His jaw flexed. He leaned closer, one hand braced on my desk, voice barely above a whisper. Who hurt you? My breath caught. What are you talking about? No one. His eyes darkened. Don't lie to me. For a heartbeat, our gazes locked. Mine wide with panic. His burning with suspicion. I forced a shaky laugh and looked away. You're imagining things, boss. He tilted his head. Since when do I imagine things? Then softer, almost for my ears alone. You're not part of those little things, Maya. As much as I hate to admit it, you're becoming too important. His words slipped out before he could stop them. And that was the problem, he meant them. The office went still. His men exchanged glances. A few women, the ones who worshipped the ground he walked on, shot daggers at me with their eyes. I hated it. Hated the attention. Hated the weight of every jealous stare. Public declarations weren't my thing, even if they came from the most feared man in New York. That evening, the city was bruised, glowing under fading sunlight. I stood at the bus stop, clutching my bag, watching taxis streak past in gold and gray. My thoughts were tangled, replaying his words, the heat in his gaze, the way he said them. Then a sleek black Maserati slid up to the curb. The tinted window rolled down. His face. Unreadable. Commanding. Get in, he said. I blinked. Excuse me. He stepped out, tailored suit catching the streetlight glow. I'll take you home. I crossed my arms. Since when does the big bad mafia boss play Uber driver? His lips twitched. Since I decided I want to take you out. I froze. Take me out? Like, on a date? Yes. I laughed, incredulous. You're joking. He wasn't. His gaze didn't waver. I don't like touching people, Maya. I don't like being touched. But with you, it's different. I don't know why and I don't care. I just want to indulge in it. My brows shot up. So you're asking me out because, what? You like physical touch? With me? Yes. That's the dumbest reason I've ever heard, I muttered. You just want my body, that's what this is. He didn't deny it. Maybe. But I don't want anyone else's. Only yours. My chest tightened, not with flattery but disappointment. That's not enough reason to want someone, Luca. I'm not one of your women. I can't be. I turned toward the arriving bus. You need therapy, not a date. Why, good night, boss. I cut him off, stepping onto the bus without looking back. Through the window I could feel his eyes on me. Unyielding. Confused. Dangerous. And even as the city blurred past, I muttered under my breath, voice breaking slightly. Men are trash. Even the mafia kind. Still, no matter how hard I tried, the memory of his kiss refused to fade. The mop clattered against the wall as I dropped it, wiping sweat from my forehead with the back of my hand. My apartment smelled faintly of bleach, but Rihanna's work and Cardi B's Up blasted from my tiny Bluetooth speaker, turning a dull Saturday into a solo party. For 3 hours I'd been dancing more than cleaning. Hips swaying, hair flying, laughing like a woman trying to shake off every trace of confusion he left behind. Luca Vargas. The most dangerous man in New York. And somehow, the one who had started invading my thoughts like a bad habit I couldn't quit. Forget him, I muttered, spinning once more, waist rolling to the beat, sweat glistening under the low light. Then my phone buzzed violently on the table. I sighed, half expecting another unknown number. Probably Ethan again, still refusing to leave me alone. But the name flashing across my screen made me freeze. Luca Vargas. My heart skipped. What could he possibly want on a Saturday? I swiped to answer. Hello. His deep voice rumbled through the line. No greeting, no pause. Be at my villa. 15 minutes. I blinked. Sir, is there a problem? A beat of silence. Then, 15 minutes. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, mouth half open. What the hell? I tried calling back. No answer. It's the weekend, Luca. I said aloud to no one, throwing my hands up. But even as I complained, I was already grabbing a towel. Mafia Lords didn't exactly follow HR policies. 10 minutes later, steam drifted from my bathroom. I stood in front of the mirror, towel around my shoulders, hair still damp, eyes questioning my own reflection. What could this man possibly want from me now? I muttered. A yellow cab pulled up in front of his villa. A sleek fortress of glass, stone, and silence. The iron gates opened automatically, swallowing me whole. When I stepped inside, I braced for chaos. Maybe a gunfight. Maybe trouble. Something worthy of a 15-minute summons. Luca sat calmly at the long glass table, suit jacket off, sleeves rolled, files spread before him like a king conducting business in his palace. Without looking up, he said, "Translate these. Mark every clause about international shipments. I want a clean summary by tonight." I gaped. This is 3 months' worth of contracts. He finally met my eyes. Controlled. Don't question me. Just do it. My jaw tightened. Unbelievable, I muttered, yanking my laptop from my bag and dropping into the chair opposite him. While I worked, I felt him watching me. The way my brows knit when I concentrated, the faint irritation on my lips. He studied it all. A smile threatened the corner of his mouth. I glanced up. Why are you smiling? His tone was low, teasing. Your angry face. You look like a cute chipmunk. I froze. Did the infamous Luca Vargas just smile? My cheeks flushed and I ducked my head back to my screen. You're weird, I muttered. Occupational hazard, he replied dryly. Mafias are mysterious. Minutes passed. The only sound was the soft clack of my keys. Then out of nowhere. Have you eaten breakfast? I blinked up. You're kidding, right? You already hijacked my weekend. He ignored me, made a quick call, and within 15 minutes the doorbell rang. Go get it, he said simply. I shot him a glare but obeyed, returning with neatly packaged takeout. When he motioned for me to sit, my stomach betrayed me with a loud growl. Lips twitching, he muttered, "Eat." I sighed and took the chair beside him. The aroma filled the room. Truffle pasta, grilled salmon, the kind of food that made silence feel comfortable. Halfway through, his voice broke it. You're good at what you do. Better than anyone I've worked with. I looked up, surprised. You work hard, he continued. Too hard. I notice things, Maya. The words landed softer than I expected, cutting through the tension like sunlight through glass. For a second, the Mafia Lord disappeared, and in his place sat a man, still dangerous but human. Our eyes locked. The air thickened. 10 seconds felt like forever. I cleared my throat, retreating behind a nervous laugh. You're impossible. Sometimes you're ice, sometimes fire. You're confusing. He smirked. And you keep showing up anyway. By sunset, I gathered my laptop, ready to leave. When I turned, he was right behind me. Too close. The faint scent of his cologne, dark, smoky, wrapped around me. I could feel his breath on my skin, his eyes fixed on my lips before returning to mine. I froze. This was madness. The same man who nearly fired me for touching him now stood inches away, fighting not to touch me again. My heart pounded. My voice barely rose above a whisper. Good night, boss. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Only watched me go, his expression unreadable, jaw tight, control slipping like sand through his fingers. As the door closed behind me, I pressed a hand to my chest. I hadn't kissed him, but it felt like I had. And that was even more dangerous. Monday morning carried a strange stillness as I stepped into Vargas Group headquarters. The air smelled of cologne, gun oil, and freshly brewed espresso, the kind of mix that screamed power and danger. Halfway to my office, one of Luca's men stopped me. This way, Miss Bennett, he said, nodding politely. We walked down a corridor I'd never been allowed through, floors polished to a shine, heavy doors, gold-plated handles. Every step echoed like I was being escorted into another world. When the man opened the door, I froze. The office was stunning. Cream walls, soft gold accents, a polished mahogany desk, velvet curtains in deep red. A vase of lilies sat on the side table, and my books, were neatly arranged on a shelf. It was my style. Warm, feminine, elegant. I blinked. What in the world? The man smiled faintly. Mr. Vargas said this office is yours from now on. My heart did this nervous little jump. Luca did this? Without thinking, I stormed straight to his office. He was there as always, crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up, a faint shadow on his jaw. He was typing something on his laptop when I burst in. Why did you change my office? I demanded. He didn't look up. Because you deserve better. I narrowed my eyes. If you think a fancy office will make me sleep with you, it won't work. That made him stop. Slowly he raised his head, his dark brown eyes cutting right through me. I could have any woman in this city, he said evenly. But I don't want any woman. I want you. My throat went dry. I tried to sound unaffected. Right. Because I'm the only one who doesn't throw herself at you. I turned to leave. Thanks for the office. Really? Have dinner with me tonight, he said quietly. I paused, glancing over my shoulder. Dinner? I'd rather go to a club. I feel like drinking my bad decisions tonight. A rare smirk curved his lips. You want to get drunk so you can kiss me again? My cheeks burned. I don't even remember that. He leaned back in his chair, voice low. Don't bother. I remember enough for both of us. Not happening, I muttered, turning for the door. He didn't press. Just said, 9 o'clock. It wasn't a request. It was an order, and somehow he made it sound seductive. When the door closed behind me, I felt my pulse racing. Luca Vargas was the only person who could walk into his own office, challenge him, and still make his heart beat like he wasn't in control. That night, the club throbbed with life. deep bass, swirling lights, laughter that reeked of expensive whiskey and broken promises. And then I walked in. I didn't just enter the room, I owned it. My fitted red dress clung like sin. My lipstick glowed under the strobe lights. My hair fell in soft waves that made me feel untouchable. Every man turned. Every eye followed. Luca's jaw flexed. The possessive part of him, the dangerous one, burned with a need to make sure they all knew I wasn't for them. He crossed the room in a few strides and held out his hand. "Dance with me." I raised a brow. That wasn't a request, was it? No. Our bodies met on the dance floor. His hand on my waist, mine lightly on his chest. The crowd blurred, the noise dimmed. It was just us, moving to the slow rhythm of something far older than the music. "You smell incredible," he murmured near my ear. I curved my lips into a small smile. "Careful. Compliments from you sound like threats." He chuckled low. "Depends on what kind of threat you like." Our eyes locked, heat, challenge, danger. His breath brushed my cheek, lips inches from mine. I tilted my head and pulled back. "I don't want a man who only wants my body." His gaze darkened. "I don't. I want you." "Then prove it," I whispered. "How?" "Figure it out." I downed another shot, my laughter soft and reckless. He frowned. "You shouldn't drink so much." "Why?" "Afraid I'll start telling the truth." "Why, I giggled, tipsy. "You're cute when you're worried, boss." My knees buckled. He caught me instantly, lifting me like I weighed nothing. Ignoring the stares, he carried me out and drove me home in silence. Inside my apartment, he laid me gently on the bed, tucking the blanket over me. He turned to leave. "Don't go," I whispered. He froze. "You sure?" "Yes." I sat up slowly, eyes glassy, lips parted. Then without warning I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed his cheek. Then lower, along his jaw. His breath hitched. "Why, I looked up at him, eyes dark, voice low. "You make it too easy to forget my rules." He swallowed hard. "Then forget them." My fingers slid up his chest, tracing his skin through the open collar. "You really want this?" "Yes." "Then take it," I whispered. That was all it took. His hand shot out, pulling me in. Our mouths collided, hungry, desperate, reckless. Every ounce of restraint shattered. The kiss deepened, turned rough, turned real. My body molded against his, my hands tangled in his hair, his grip claiming my waist. We fell onto the bed, lost between desire and danger. Two broken souls trying to find something human in the dark. By the time dawn crept through my window, there was no line left between us. And for the first time in his life, Luca Vargas realized. He'd just crossed the one boundary he could never undo. Morning light spilled through the curtains of Luca Vargas's penthouse, soft and golden against the chaos of last night. I lay on the bed, tangled in the sheets, my hair falling across my face. For a moment I let myself just breathe. Just exist. Luca sat on the edge of the bed, shirt unbuttoned, hands clasped, watching me. My lashes fluttered. My lips parted in a faint smile, calm in sleep. For once, I wasn't the sharp-tongued translator who challenged him. I was just peace. He always noticed. When I stirred and caught him staring, my cheeks flamed instantly. "Oh my God, were you watching me sleep?" I whispered, half embarrassed, half annoyed. "Yes," he said, voice low, rumbling like thunder. "And I liked it." I groaned, half laughing, half mortified. "You're impossible." He leaned closer, brushing a stray curl from my face. "You make it hard to be anything else." My heart stuttered. I looked away. "Don't flatter me, Luca." "I'm not flattering you." His voice dropped, soft but steady. "Be my girl." I blinked, unsure I'd heard him right. I said, "Be mine." He exhaled slowly, eyes holding mine. "Last night wasn't just, you make me feel something I haven't felt since before I learned to pull a trigger. You make me smile, Maya. You make me alive." I stared, caught between disbelief and something deeper stirring in my chest. "Are you sure this isn't just because of what happened last night?" His jaw tightened. "No. I don't do maybes. I don't chase feelings that vanish by morning. If I wanted something casual, you'd already know. Hell, if you want, I'll marry you right now." My breath caught. "What?" I'm serious. I burst out laughing, color flooding my cheeks. You're insane. Let's not rush, okay? A smirk curved his lips. So that's a yes? Maybe, I teased. Come on, he said, leaning in, playful but firm. I smiled shyly. Fine. Yes. I'll be your girlfriend. For the first time I saw it, the walls around him cracking, the boy he once was flickering through the monster everyone else feared. He pulled me close, kissing my jaw, my wrist, letting his sigh mingle with my laughter. And for the first time Luca Vargas felt human. An hour later we stepped out hand in hand, my hair tousled, his coat draped over my shoulders. The city was waking, quiet and pale under the morning sun. He was about to drive me to breakfast when a shadow blocked our path. I froze. Luca's eyes narrowed. Bennett, a voice spat. It was Jake. My ex. His words sliced the calm like a blade. So this is where you've been hiding? With a goddamn mafia boss. I stiffened. No, Jake. I left you because you tried to force yourself on me. Luca's body went rigid, every muscle taut. He did what? Jake faltered. It wasn't, I didn't mean. Say that again, Luca growled, voice pure fire. Luca, I said quietly, touching his arm. He's not worth it. Jake's voice cracked, desperate. Maya, I love you. You can't do this. You belong to me. Luca moved faster than words. Take him out of my sight. Two of his men appeared instantly, dragging Jake backward as he kicked and screamed. Maya, please, don't leave me for him. The shouts echoed through the marble driveway, fading as they hauled him away. I trembled, but Luca's hand closed over mine. Firm, protective. You're safe, he said quietly, but there was something deeper in his tone. Guilt, rage, fear he might lose control again. When the silence returned, I looked up at him. Why did you let them take him alive? His gaze softened and I saw a side of him few ever did. Because you deserve a life without blood on your hands. I'm trying to be the kind of man you'd stay for. My chest ached. And if I still walk away? He exhaled slowly. Then you walk. I won't cage you. I've lived my life owning everything, but not you. Never you. Something in his voice broke me. I stepped closer, our foreheads touching. But what if I don't want to walk away? What if I choose you? He froze, then smiled, the first real smile I'd ever seen from him. He lifted my hand to his lips, kissed it slowly. Then you'll never walk alone again. Weeks later. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows of my new office. The lilies Luca replaced weekly sat in a vase, his quiet ritual. He appeared at the door, leaning against the frame, tie loosened, that half-smile tugging at my heart. Why are you staring at me like that? I teased. Because I still can't believe you're mine, he said, walking in, sliding his arms around my waist. I laughed. Careful. People might start saying the big bad mafia boss went soft. Let them talk, he whispered, brushing his lips against mine. They don't know what peace looks like. Our kiss was slow, unhurried. The kind that belonged to two people who had been through fire and finally found quiet. Outside, the city whispered about Luca Vargas, the man who built an empire of blood. Inside my office, he was just a man who fell in love with a woman brave enough to stand in his storm. And for once, I believed in forever. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more forbidden love stories full of passion, power, and unforgettable twists.